Welcome to the Wheelbarrow Profits podcast, where you get multifamily investing made real. Learn from top players in the real estate investment world as they share their secrets with you and discover proven strategies on apartment investing that actually work. To learn more about Wheelbarrow Profits, visit jakeandgino.com, your one-stop shop for everything multifamily. Now to your hosts, Jake and Gino.
Hello, everybody. This is Jake Stenziano, host of the Wheelbarrow Profits podcast, here with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, the chef, the father of six, the best-selling author, the G-Daddy, Gino Barbaro. Gino, how's it going?
Jake Stenziano, I am doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome because today we have a special edition of the Wheelbarrow Profits podcast. We're going old school. We're going back to the beginning. We're doing a little buy right today. We're going back to the roots. So I'm really jacked up about that. How you doing?
I'm doing good. As T. Harv Eker, what he says, the roots are where your fruits are, bro. So if you don't buy right, if you don't manage right, you don't finance right, that beautiful fig tree that my dad used to grow, bro, is not going to give you figs. It's just the bottom line. It's going to start withering and dying. So let's get back to the roots.
It all starts up front, going back to the basics. How about Alabama last night? Holy shit. That was crazy.
I didn't even watch the game. I watched 10 minutes of it. Not a college football guy. I'm a New Yorker. New Yorkers don't like college sports.
I know, but it was amazing. So, hey, anyways, before we get into it, let's give a quick shout out to CrowdStreet, who knows you don't have to know a guy to find a quality commercial real estate investment opportunity. Learn more at crowdstreet.com/wheelbarrow. And for visiting their site, they're going to give you a free gift. Maybe Gino will give you a free gift if you stay on to the end today. I don't know. A little teaser there.
For two guys who we keep saying we're tech dummies, CrowdStreet makes it real easy to use their platform. We've uploaded our investors on there. They're very user-friendly. They're very reasonably priced. If you're considering syndicating and looking professional and taking it to the next level, their CRM is awesome. We're using it. We're not syndicating yet, but we've got all our investors on there. Easy to onboard an investor. You can send out emails through the platform. I highly recommend it for anybody who's looking to invest and to start syndicating.
And if you want to sign up to be an investor with Jake and Gino, go to jakeandgino.com and sign up to be an investor, and maybe we'll let you in a little bit of money, right?
Dude, we're doing one this year. That's one of the mulligans. We got to talk about that, right?
Oh shit. So, Gino, You wanted to do a little 2017 look back. We're going to call this segment Gino's Mulligans. So go ahead, man.
Yeah, well, you know what? The little life coach in me said this year, to set your goals for 2018, you got to look back, right? Analyze and assess what happened last year. So I'm going to share with you my, foibles, my pitfalls, stuff that held me back, and stuff that really transformed my life and just made me become aware of, what I was doing right. Because 2017 was huge. For a lot of you know, I moved out of New York in the middle of the summer. Massive step. It took 3 years to get that thing going. I guess the first thing would be is once you set a plan, have confidence in your plan, have confidence that's going to work. It's going to be hard, but you need to have a mission and purpose for that plan. If I didn't have a mission and purpose, it wouldn't work. I would quit the plan and say, this is not for me. So thankfully, I stuck with the plan, and I'm down here and it's not 6 degrees down here. That's all I got to say, right, Jake? You really got to work on your plan and have confidence and have faith in the plan. Don't listen to anybody who's going to down your plan or take you off the plan. That's the other thing. When you're talking to people, talk to people who are like-minded. Don't talk to somebody about real estate if they've never done real estate before, ever, because they're going to tell you it's risky. They're going to tell you it's hard to do. Talk to other people who've done it and who've transformed their lives, and get positive, affirming advice. Get advice from people who know what the heck they're talking about. The next one is take what the market gives you. Jake's going to go over the buy right segment. At the beginning of the year, I think me more than Jake was so hesitant to buy stuff at 7 caps. I don't know why. It's where the market is right now. That's why we weren't buying in the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, all of a sudden, the market buying stuff at 6.5, 7 caps. He's going to talk about the buy right. It's okay to buy at 7 caps because we're actually going to push these things to 9 and 10 caps. But still, I was used to remember buying these things at 8, 9 caps, and I was hesitant to that. So if that's what the market's giving you, you have to take what the market gives you. The other thing the market was giving us at the end of the year, a lot of refi money. So at the one end, it's harder to buy, but at the back end, we're getting valuations that were great. So we took what the market gave us. It gave us those big refi checks. That's what we took. Look in the front view mirror, not in the rear view. This is a life coaching tip for you guys. If you guys keep looking back.
I've never heard of a front view mirror.
Well,
What's
I like
a front view mirror?
that's a good question. Well, for the front mirror, the front view. You look at the front view, bro. Don't
look down the highway, right? Look straight ahead.
Yes.
I got you.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I wrote this late last night, so you know what I mean? Like, we all look back. It's good to look back and to assess to what you messed up at, but don't dwell on it. Hey, I still think about the money I lost in the mobile home park. It still bothers the crap out of me, but I let it go. And I said to myself, what were the learning points in that project? I learned, don't make an assumption that's going to happen for you in the future. Let that go in the past. Look towards the future.
It's like the Gino. It's like the iPhone thing. You know, you double tap on your iPhone and swipe up to clear things out.
Yep.
Double tap and get that shit out of your head, right?
That's
Get it.
right.
Clear your mind. Don't dwell on that shit.
Easier said than done, but a lot of people, they focus on it, they dwell on it, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business partnership, whatever it is, really tough.
Keep moving on.
The other thing, I'm going to skip around because this is really important. This one was really important for me. If you're dealing with something in life and you get uncomfortable and you get that feeling in your stomach, you're doing something right. It's just that simple. Jake, and that's where the power of partnerships comes into play, because Jake yesterday was talking about hiring somebody to come work with Jake and Gino. We want to get a sales guy on. I had that uncomfortable feeling in my stomach, right? I'm like, this doesn't feel right. But at the same time, I knew I was onto something, because once you get uncomfortable in life, that's how you grow, and that's how you contribute, and that's how you say to yourself, you're doing the right thing. And that can relate to a lot of you guys who are doing their multifamily investing, coming from single families or being brokers, saying, wow, this is risky, this is hard. You get that uncomfortable, sick, nauseating feeling. Trust me, that's the right feeling to have, because your warning flags are going up. That just tells you that you're doing something that you should be doing, because you're getting uncomfortable in life. And the more uncomfortable you can get in life, I think the better you're going to become in life. And that's what happened with me yesterday. And the other thing with the partnership was, if Jake wasn't there to push me and say, we're doing this, I probably would have let that feeling go. So that's why partnerships are really, really powerful, because you got somebody behind you pushing you and saying, it'll be okay. So you get those thoughts and those ideas when you put two guys or two gals together. I think it's really powerful. So when you get that feeling,
I love you, man.
just check your gut, right? Analyze and stick to your numbers. If you're analyzing a deal, don't force the deal. Don't look at pro forma numbers. Look at the actual numbers and say, this doesn't make sense to me. How many deals have we looked at that these numbers make no sense? Don't fight the brokers, because they've got the upper hand.
99.9% of them.
That's right. They know. And
just be a nice guy. Be a nice guy, right?
Yeah, and Jake's going to go through the Berkadia book. Look at what the actual cap rates are. If the guy doesn't want to sell it, he's not motivated, you could do whatever you want. You're not going to get the guy to sell. You have to buy in actual numbers, and you have to buy actual numbers for the market right now. Focus on adding value. Sometimes Jake and I, we just don't look at the bigger picture of the property. The property we bought for $9 million at 110 units. We didn't look at the value of that property. We drove by it the first time. I had to actually, God intervened. Irma comes towards Florida. I evacuate. I go up to Knoxville for the week. We work together. Instead of having a whole week off, we get in the car, we drive around, we reassess the property again and go, wow, these rents are $150 a month less. So we weren't focusing on where the value was in this property. We had the limiting belief that we don't deal in A and B properties. That's not in our league. So once you start focusing on the value, how you can increase the value in the property, then I think that's one of the most important things in the buy rate. And we ended up doing it, and that's why we ended up closing on the deal. Be present in the moment. Guys who listen to this podcast, shut the phone off. If you want to take some notes, great, but be present in the moment. When you're with your kids, be present in that moment. When you're at work, be present in that moment. Every single day is a gift. You have to focus on what you're doing at that particular time to enjoy what you're doing. Display gratitude, be grateful for what we have. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news and all that. We're all polarized and everything. The guys I speak to, we don't even hear any of that crap, because we're so grateful for what's going on in our lives. We don't listen to that. Got to take care of your family. I mean, we're
work on your situation, what you can control, right? Blast it out for yourself. Screw these idiots out there,
Exactly. So, I mean, be thankful for what you have, because there's a lot of people out there. There's 3 billion people on this planet don't even have running water. So, I mean, we take our poverty in this country is a smartphone. I mean, I'm saying the wealthy in China barely have. So, I mean, just look at it and be grateful for every single day. When you wake up, like Rock Thomas said, with a smile on your face. And the other thing that Jake says, you have a smile on your face, you just become smarter. You become more engaged in life. So just think of it that way. Be grateful for what you got. Don't be afraid to take risk, and assess the downside. This whole craze with Bitcoin right now, assess the risk. Learn about what's going on in it, right? But assess the downside. You're buying it at 16,000. I mean, it was at 100 a few years ago. There's a lot of downside there. There's a ton of upside there. There's a lot of downside. but focus on what you're really good at. Jake and I haven't taken a stab at it. Maybe we'll find somebody who's really good at it and I'll give them my money. But you need years of education on this stuff to really know what the hell you're doing. You can't just jump in and then all of a sudden they say, well, I got slaughtered. You got slaughtered because you didn't do your education on Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum. Really learn the space before you start investing.
Sounds like you're talking about Star Wars. I don't even know what the hell you're saying right now. Did you say Lothlorien? Was that Lord of the Rings?
Ethereum. No, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Jake, stay away from Bitcoin. 2018,
I was going to go hang out with the elves in the forest there.
Couple other things, Jake. I know I'm killing you here, but
no, this is great.
Go to a live event. We had a live event in November. Go to one that's not going to be a pitch fest. The live event was 200 people, about 200 people. I didn't have one negative comment. We had a great bunch of speakers. But more importantly, you're going to mastermind with people there. You're going to network with people there. You're getting out of your comfort zone because I'm the first person. I hate networking in that kind of situation. But you have access to Jake and I at that event. You have access to all our speakers at that event. You have access to networking at that event. I want you guys 2018 to put at least one live event on your schedule. And you know what? We're having one in October 2018 in Charlotte. Don't know the weekend, but to put that one down. Put something down where you get out of your comfort zone and go and network with people. Let me get a couple more here.
Damn, G-Dad wrote a book last night.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Bringing the Panya.
Two other things. Get back to brokers quickly.
Yes.
It's really important, once you start networking with brokers, that you speak the lingo, you get educated by Jake and Gino, you know the 45 questions to ask them, you know how to analyze the market, and you get back to them within we'll get a deal now. With the deal analyzer, with whatever, we'll get back to them within an hour and tell them this deal is great or this deal doesn't work for me.
We get offers in the next day typically. Like literally, yes. We have an offer to these guys the next day. If that day, it's crazy.
And LOI and everything going because you want to be serious and you want to show that you're a closer. Not many guys do that. So you know what? If this deal doesn't work, the next one down the pike will come and will work for us. So get back to them as quickly as possible. And also to build a rapport, think about gifting. Think about being generous to these guys because these guys are the bread and butter of multifamily. If you do not go out and network with these guys, you're not going to find a deal. Direct mailing, it works, but now the market's become more sophisticated. So you really have to focus on building relationships with the brokers in your market. That's the other thing. I guess the last one would be to continue to network. Just continue to network out there, continue to join real estate groups, continue to get on Bigger Pockets and Jake and Gino and all that, and just start meeting people and talking and finding out what's going on in the economy. But remember, free advice is free. If you really want to get real education, you've got to pay for education. I don't care what anybody says. You can read all the books you want, but if you want unfettered access.
Books aren't free.
That's right. Well, they're not, but I mean, at the same time, you're getting just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, if you really want to chunk down, find a mentor, find somebody who's doing it, who's done it, and try to latch on, try to learn from them, try to bring value to them. That's all I got, bro.
All right. So this is for the folks on YouTube. I got two books in my hand right now. You definitely have seen the one before. I got the Wheelbarrow Profits book, and I got this forecast 2018 came from Berkadia, Berkshire Hathaway here. A little gift from Gino's buddy Warren there. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use both of these because we want to revisit the buy rate process because since we wrote the book, you know, the market has shifted. Some of these things have changed, but also when you tie it in with the data, when you know what your market's cap rate is, you can really get specific with what your buying parameters are going to be, and you can use it to look very intelligent when networking with a broker. Because if a broker's showing you a 5 cap, and maybe it's a Berkadia broker, you pull out his book and says, "Well, your data is telling me this." You know, that's the reason I can't get there on it. You don't got to be mean about it, but you say, "Look, I'm looking to beat the market slightly." We'll get into that. So I want to get, like I said before, I want to get back to basics. Gino, why don't you touch on a little bit for me? Because right in the beginning of the buy right strategy, it talks about mom and pop. What is a mom and pop to you? Because we bought shitty little mom and pops and we bought pretty fancy mom and pops. Well,
we just finished buying the mom and pop, the 110 units. I think this is the golden nugget of the call. Anybody who's new in real estate really has to gravitate to this. If there's no motivation to a seller, you're not going to get a deal. If you've got a retail space that's in a great location, the guy doesn't have to sell, you're not going to get a deal. Don't pound your head on the table. Just move on. No harm, no foul. Figure that. So a mom and pop to me, the thing that sticks out more than anything else is that they're motivated to sell. They need to sell. Now they can be really sophisticated, they got to do a 1031. They got to move that money in 3 months. So that's the type of motivation. Or they're just a 62-year-old guy who, you know what, wants to cash in and buy a Porsche and drive to California, bro. Right? I mean, that's what we've had. So, and we've done that. So look at the motivation. Now, we teach in our training, what types of motivation are there? There's divorce. There's bad health. There's retirement. There's burned out. There's no systems. There's partner acrimony. There's, infighting in the family. There's so many different types of motivation. You as the buyer has to really listen to the broker and to their story and figure out if there's one type of motivation and how you're going to solve their problem. So for instance, on our first mom and pop, these sellers just wanted to sell the property. They got bad advice from their broker. They listed the property too long, which is going on in the market now. It sat on the market for a couple of years and it became stale. Then all of a sudden they have the epiphany where we're not going to sell. So we came in with a pretty low offer. We should have gotten it for a little bit lower. We came with a low offer and they took it because we knew that they wanted to retire. We knew they had no systems in place and we knew they were mom and pop. And that's what it came down to. Mom and pop has no systems. They weren't doing background checks. They were getting cash every week. They had no website. There were so many things that they were doing. They were making money in spite of themselves, which was amazing to me. So that's what a mom.
That just shows you the power of multifamily, though, too.
Dude, totally. And the thing is, that was a 25 unit, our first deal. We've gotten a 281 unit mom and pop from a guy who was in a family. They built all these units over the years. He just wanted to sell. And his problem was there weren't that many people in the market that could take down this asset. REITs didn't want it because it was a little bit spread out. And little mom and pop investors couldn't take it down because it was too big. But we knew that he tried to sell to his brother a year ago. He had to take it back. So he was afraid. He wanted operators that could really close in his deal. So we knew his pain point. And, fortunately for us, we got it 20%, no money down, $11 million deal. Why? How do we do that? Because he was motivated. We didn't even go back with him on the price. He had listed it for $12.6 million. Jake and I send our underwriting over to him saying, listen, at $12.6 million, we've got all reds here. We're not making money. He came back with us. He negotiated against himself, which to me was truly amazing. That was another epiphany to me. You don't even have to name a number. Send your underwriting over to the seller and to the broker and say, this is why your number doesn't work. They'll come back. If they want to sell, he came back to us, $11 million, no money down, 20%. He's going to hold the note for 20% of the seller financing. I said to Jake, I think the property is worth $10.5 million. But if we're not putting any money in the deal, we'll take $11 million all day. So Jake and I, we fumbled around for a day and then we said, okay, we'll do it. And the great thing about that was, right, we walked away from the table with money. The title agent was sitting there scratching their head going, you guys don't put any money in the deal, and you walk away from the table with money. So that's the power of looking at a mom and pop. And the place was in really good shape. All the units were in pretty good shape. They needed updating, but they didn't need cabinets ripped out. They needed floor and painting, a lot of these things, and some air conditioning units. But they didn't need a $7,000 to $10,000 per unit flip. This last deal that we did, and I'm sorry I'm going so long, Jake.
No, you're fine.
This last 110 units was a different kind of mom and pop. These operators did a beautiful job in actually building this property, positioning it properly. It was 100% leased. We go in the office. The leasing agent's like, yeah, I haven't raised rents in 3 years. I'm comfortable here. Ding, 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 ding. What does that tell you? Rents are $100 below, plus there's no rubs on this property. And this property is out the yin-yang with the amenities. They've got a fitness center. They've got a tanning salon. They've got a fire pit, TVs. Dude, this is a place that I would live. You know what I'm saying? So I know it's really vastly under-rented. Mom and pop, why is it a mom and pop? Because the two brothers just didn't want to, I don't think, wanted to be in partnership anymore. The expenses were super high. And it was just that, I wouldn't say a partner acrimony. They just got burned out. They weren't operators.
No, there was some of that going on. There was definitely some of that going on.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying I don't want to blame that. But they just didn't want to operate the property. They were builders. They weren't operators. I mean, it was a shiny object syndrome. That's why I want to tell you guys, focus on multifamily. Don't be a land buyer and an apartment builder and then try to operate it, unless you get a management company that does it for you. These guys are doing it on their own. They were doing it remotely, and they weren't doing it properly. So that's a mom and pop right there for you.
Yeah. So a few things. There's two really key points that I want to touch on. One, you need a motivated seller, whether they're out-of-town owners, whether there's family infighting, whether they just are burned out from multifamily. So that's number one. Gino touched on. He touched on motivated sellers. Number two, which is hugely important, you need properties that are underperforming, aka upside. So going back to the book here, this 2018 forecast, the cap rate in our market was 6.5% last year. Okay. What did we buy in this last deal? We bought it at 7 cap. with tremendous upside, $150 per unit in place without having to do renovations. So what we're seeing, we're beating the market by half a point, right? And there's upside, AKA underperforming. So it was a mom and pop from the standpoint that there was some partner acrimony going on, and the property was underperforming. That's a perfect storm. So we're really trying to tee up for you guys what to look for when you're buying right.
Now, the other component to this one was, remember that uncomfortable feeling that I talked about? I got the uncomfortable feeling on this property because it had it had an HOA component, right? So there's another problem. All the operators in the area couldn't qualify for agency financing on this. So we had our community bank give us 15% down on the whole entire portfolio. So there's condominiums, which are part of an HOA, and an apartment complex. So what we're going to do is the apartment complex is going to go to agency debt within the next 18 months. The HOA, the condos, we're going to stay with the community bank. But the bigger point was we're creating and solving a big problem for them, and we're stepping out of our comfort zone because we've never run an HOA before. I had as much background. I sat down here in Florida with somebody who runs, a huge HOA down here. He's got a lot of experience. So I learned on the front end. We did a lot of digging. We used an attorney who was painful, but at the same time, he provided value, and he taught us a lot about HOAs and what the pitfalls were and how to structure one. So it wasn't just, hey, we got a great deal. There was a reason why we got the great deal, because a lot of people couldn't take this thing down. They couldn't syndicate this because you can't syndicate something unless you get agency debt. You don't want to go to community. So that was one of the things that was really powerful for us. So we paid 8.9. I think this thing at the end of next year is probably worth $11 million. I really do. Because you're talking $150 times 110 units. You're talking 11 grand a month in rental income. That's 120 grand a year. You divide that by even a 7 cap. You're talking huge amount of money right there. So, and like Jake said, I'll show you pictures. The property needs zero upgrade. I mean, it's got granite. Like I said, it's amazing. And I'm amazed that it stayed on the market that long. Like I said, the HOA component scared a lot of people off. Just learn about it.
You got to solve those problems, right? The people in real estate that make money are willing to solve the problems. So a few things before we get to the parameters, I just want to touch on a few things that we like to look for. If it's, if it's a B or C property, we love high vacancy rates, especially if we know if the market is overperforming. And guys, you're saying, well, where do you get, even in this book here, that data's out there. You can find out from, CoStar, wherever you need to go, you can find out what the occupancy rate is for your market. And it's good data. So know that. We like low web presence. One of the deals we bought, they had unrealistic credit expectations. It was a C property, and you basically had to be able to qualify for a Porsche to get in there, right? So it just didn't, these kind of things, you need to know the background. You need to know the story, why the vacancy rates are high. A lot of times you see poor maintenance, right? Bad leasing agents that are just not converting because they may be giving them $10 an hour. There's no incentive for them to sell. So these are a lot of things we look for. Deferred maintenance is typical in a lot of the C&B properties. And one of the biggest things are rents below market. I think I just described Park Place 10 times over there in that segment. But, you find something where the rents are below market, you're going to buy on actuals. We talk about this all the time. Buy based on what the income is doing today with your expenses in place, right?
I think the other thing is we wrote the article, 15 ways to increase the income of a property. I'm not going to go through all 15 ways. Go on Jake and Gino, take a look at that article. But if they're not doing RUBS, billing back part of the utilities, that's the first step. The second step, are they taking move-in fees? We're taking move-in fees now, non-refundable. We don't want security deposits. Now you're saying, oh, well, they're going to damage the property. Well, we have a whole section. A whole section, we're not going to get into it, on how we protect ourselves for the downside. So that's a whole nother segment of how you can run your business. Third thing is, are they renting to pets? If not, there's another couple $100 a month for a pet fee and another $20-30 a month on top of the income. Are they doing application fees? Are they making money on that? Are you making money on renter's insurance? Are you making money on late fees? There's so many different types of income. That income can become 5 or 6 or 10% of your total revenue. So a lot of these mom and pops, they're not doing it because they don't know how to do it, or they don't want to be bothered with it. They've known Joe in apartment 15 for 30 years, and they're not going to charge them a late fee. But you coming in on the back end, late 5% of $600 is $30 a month. You got 10 of those guys, you're talking $300 a month. You're talking $4,000 at the end of the year. You do the math. That's a lot of money at the end of the year. So you really have to worry about the revenue in the property. Take a look at that. To me is a huge value that is totally underestimated. And when you start looking at properties at 100, 150, 200 units, you can see how that starts multiplying really quick.
Here's another one. Know your expenses. On our sunflower deal, the expenses were way high. we knew our price per unit, what we were going to be able to run something at. And so when we valued the property based on their income versus expenses, we were able to do much better. Classic example of just, company got too big. They weren't running it efficiently anymore. So you got to know your expenses.
That's a huge one for, I think, guys who are starting out in the business. Don't force the expenses. Don't be unrealistic. The smaller properties, if you want to run, the expenses, they might be a little bit less. But I think the bigger properties, find out what the expenses are. And if you don't know what they are, go to a Fannie broker, go to a community banker, ask them what they're underwriting per door. Because when Jake and I were running our big property, the first time we went to refi the property, we were running at $2,900 per unit. We were a lean, mean fighting machine, bro.
Cell phone instead of office phone. Like anything you could do to cut, man.
That's what we were trying. And we were cranking, right? But the bank's like, we're going to underwrite $3,500 a door. And Jake and I were like, what, are you kidding me? But you know what? Ultimately, they're right. They know more or less because that's what they do every day. They underwrite it. So find out what the expenses are and don't be suckered into saying, okay, that this thing is doing, and the 50% rule doesn't work. It works quickly.
Do a budget. A budget.
Exactly. It works quickly. Part of like the deal evaluator. It's if somebody's running 70% expenses, then dude, that's a value play right there. But if they're running 38% expenses, it's not happening. Trust me, it's not happening.
Size doesn't matter. Gino touched on this before. We buy mom and pops from 25 units to 300 units. So it's all about finding the inefficiencies. It's about finding the motivated sellers, and it's about finding the value. Where's the upside? Where are they going wrong? What are they doing that's not allowing them to get the upgrades? Where's the underperformance going? Because a lot of people will say, oh, if they could have got it, they would have done it. Guys, we've seen it time and time again where that's not true. So know your market, know what the income is, know the market rate, know the expenses. It's very, very important.
And Jake touched on something really important there. If they could have gotten it, they could have done it. The problem is they've been doing something for the last 10 years the same way. They can't look outside the box. That's why experts or so-called experts, they see how to do something one way, and that's the only way they'll do it. They'll never try something new, which I think is huge. It's hugely important. Are they on Craigslist? Are they on Zillow? Do they have a website? Are they marketing 3 times a day? Are they reaching out? They're not doing a lot of this stuff because they never did it. They didn't have to. They were
Plus it's work.
Well, plus they were pre-internet. They didn't have those systems 10 or 15 years ago. Now all of a sudden things are shifting. Social media is a lot bigger and they're not doing that. Or they have just a terrible management going on in the property. And there's a lot of things. So just always look at it from your perspective. And if you've got a plan and you've been implementing your plan and you think your plan can work on this new property like ours is, that's when you look at it seriously and say, I've got a deal here.
So I want to touch on something else, which is parameters. So we really, really strive to hit a 10% cash on cash return. When we're looking at underwriting, we, because this is our money, this is our equity, we want a 10% return on our money. We still look for, the 1.4 debt service coverage ratio. But I think the difference is, you gotta be realistic with what your market cap rate is. So when we're going in now, we had, this book, and we're going through, we're touching on this Berkadia book that's showing the cap rates. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to go in and say, okay, what was the cap rate for the market last year? How can we beat it? Is it a mom and pop? Is it underperforming? So if we can go in, and I'm going to take, a lot of people in the community talk about Columbus. So I got it pulled up right here in the book. I'm looking at Columbus, Ohio. Their cap rate for 2017 was 7%. So if you're going into Columbus and you can buy at a 7.5 cap rate with upside, you're going in, you're buying on actuals. Let's talk about this. This is your parameter, okay? Beat the market, what it's currently doing, but have upside there. I think that can really insulate you and make sure that your investment is going to perform. I think that's wildly important.
Yep.
But also know your market metrics, because I'm going through this right now. Employment was up 2%. Job growth was up 2% last year. Unemployment rate was about 4%. 95% occupancy, it's okay. The new units that are coming on, they absorbed almost, all of them, literally. So I think these are good fundamentals, right? You think that's fair to say?
I totally agree with that, but
a little low on the occupancy. But
let me go back to what you buy on that occupancy, right? When you're underwriting, you buy 95% occupancy. So if you find something at 90%, you've got 5 points there. That's the value.
That's a great point.
That's the value there. But more importantly, you buy at a 7.5 cap, market's at a 7. With your skills, you get that 7.5 maybe to a 9.5 cap. All of a sudden you refi and roll. Where are you refining it at? You're refining it back at 7 cap. So there's the liquid, there's the the rocket fuel right there. If you could buy something, that's how you implement the refi and roll. You don't want to buy something at 7.5 cap, keep it there, and then you try to refi, it's going to only go back down to a 7 cap. So you want to push that cap. Even if I don't want to say this, but even if you buy something at a 6.5 cap with massive upside, you're still buying it a little bit below the cap rate. If you have to do that in your market, but with certainty that you can get that to a 9, and then all of a sudden you refi back down to a 6.5, that's their nirvana right there. That's what we're talking about with refi and roll. I don't like to do that. If you could buy the 6.5 cap, but you're buying it with the 10% cash on cash, and you're buying it at actual numbers, and you can raise that stuff, that might be a risk that you take. We haven't taken that risk yet. As long as the thing cash flows and you're not taking money out of your pocket, that's something you can view. And that's what people are doing now in the market, because they know Moody's came out with something a couple of days ago. Jake, I, and my partner mulling this over, 2.6% year-over-year rent increases. And I didn't think that would be sustainable, but what they're saying is into the near future, that's going to keep going, unfortunately, because people are not buying homes. Millennials are not buying homes, and baby boomers are downsizing and not buying homes. So that multifamily market is getting saturated, but a lot of these people don't want to spend $2,000, $2,500 for an A apartment. So they're going down into the lower classes and bidding up our units, because a lot of the stuff that's coming online, these 3,500 units that are coming online in Columbus, they're not building B's and C's. They can't afford to. They're building those nice assets in downtown, and not everyone wants to live in those properties. And that's why those properties are a little bit tougher to rent out. So just look at what's going on in the market long term.
Absolutely. Hey, let's give one more quick shout out to CrowdStreet, who believes investors of all sizes should have access to quality commercial real estate investment opportunities. The CrowdStreet Marketplace features vetted commercial real estate investment offerings from over 100 sponsors from across the U.S. Download a free copy of their commercial real estate investing guide at crowdstreet.com/wheelbarrow. CrowdStreet's getting on the wheelbarrow. They like the wheelbarrow.
Jake, the other thing we forgot to touch about their platform. They've got a beautiful platform. If you guys want to go on and see what operating memorandums look like, see what offers look like, maybe analyze a couple deals on their platform, because I know that Darren there, they look at hundreds of deals.
See where their cap rates are at, right?
Yeah, exactly. See what their offers are. See where they're adding value. That's how you start analyzing deals. I know they go on there. They look at a lot of deals. They only take 1 or 2 out of 100. So they're very picky with the deals that they take. And I mean, these guys who are putting these deals on, this is the future of syndication, guys. This is how we're going to start raising money for syndications. So if you're a syndicator out there, go on these platforms, go on CrowdStreet and see how they're doing it.
Gino, I'm going to get into a few habits here. Anything else on the buy right side before we move on?
I don't know if you want to tie in the manage right and the finance right. If you want to just go over those two legs.
Okay. So guys, if you're new to the framework, our framework is it's based on a wheelbarrow. It's buy right, manage right, and finance right. What we found through doing is that multifamily real estate investing is a 3-legged stool. You have to buy right. You talk about the parameters. You know what your buy parameters are. You nail them on the front end. The wheel represents the wheelbarrow. It's constant. It's ongoing. Managing will never end. You need to have good managing. We have parameters in the book that we talk about that. Finance right is the second leg of the wheelbarrow. It's fixed. We want long-term fixed rate financing. That's the philosophy behind the framework. So just for guys that are not used to it or have not heard it before, that's where we're coming with the buy right, manage right, finance right. Just going to say it again. Multifamily investing is a 3-legged stool. And you got to hit each one of these to make sure you're going to have a successful investment. If any of those get shaky, or I'm going to, bend my parameters, I'm going to, sacrifice this one to get a deal done, guys, that's where you're going to get hurt. So we really stress, nail your parameters for your buy, your manage, and your finance, and you have the best shot at having a successful investment opportunity. And
the cool thing about the deal evaluator that I talk about, Jake, it looks at all 3 of those. We rank them. I'll go really quickly through the manage right. The manage right section, we're looking for occupancy that's a little bit lower. Like I said, if you're looking at a property like we did in Park Place that was 82% occupied, but we knew the market back then was even 93, 94. And it was right down the street from 4,500 jobs. We knew that was a huge value play with manage right if we can manage the asset properly.
Looking for that upside, right?
That's right. If the income was low, they weren't doing rubs. That was the other thing. So those are the parameters we're looking at. So make sure that you take a look at the manage right portion and how you can add value. And
but also that annual rent growth, right? You got to be nailing your annual rent growth to keep it up. But it's so much more. It's guys having good systems. It's having good customer service. It's having good maintenance. Mm-hmm. All these things are going to drive your occupancy.
And Jake and I talk about the finance rate. We do a lot of teaching on finance rate. You can go back on YouTube and look at the videos, multifamily financing evolution. Look at the terms the banks are giving you. It's not all about the terms. It's about creating a relationship with the bank. Hey, listen, 15% down saves us a ton of money. It saves us another 5% where we can put back into the property if we have to. And it's just awesome for us. Our cash on cash return is higher. And we're able to do that because we have a relationship with the bank and they know we're buying these things right. We just bought a 64 unit deal for $20,000 a unit. And the banker's like, how'd you get it so cheap? Because we just bought right, we were patient, we were persistent, and that's the reason why he's going to refi us out the majority of the money, because he knows we buy this thing right. So look at the finance right portion, go back and watch those videos because it's important. Term, you talk about the guarantees, you talk about the interest rate, you talk about interest only. There's so many different parameters on the finance right. So sharpen up and go back and watch those videos.
Totally. Just from an implementation standpoint, so we talked about this, and I always go back to my coach's sheet here. Nail your routine, right? My habit. This is what makes me successful. I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what I'm doing every day. So if you get a deal on your desk today, analyze the thing, get with your team, and turn it around quick. Throw it through the underwriting template. Get an offer back tomorrow, okay? Know ballpark where your expenses are going to be beforehand. Take a look at their income. Get the LOI in the next day. You're gonna be known as a guy that performs and gets things done, and you're gonna get more deal flow that way. And then you can move on. You're not dwelling over it. Is it this? Is it that? If you get some traction and they engage at your price, then continue on. If not, move on. Maybe call back in a few weeks. Anything changed, and then, on the back of this, I have little notes to myself on deals and things. Well, guess what? I know I got to call Dennis about this Atlanta thing. Well, I'll call him back in a few weeks. Any traction there, anything moving. That's what you got to do. I think that having this type of structure and getting back to guys that quickly is going to make a big difference. And guys, it's based on broker relationships. You may get lucky and get a funny deal here or there because of some direct mailers or whatever. And I don't tell people not to do that. You got to get out there. You got to network, develop these relationships, because that's where the deal is going to come from. That's what these guys do. They go out and they hunt deals. You work with them. They're going to bring stuff to you when you're known as a closer performer.
What I started doing this year, really a lot more focusing on, was my annual goals. So I had the annual planner here, and I want to set up what my annual goals are. So I want to look and go into the future in 2019 and say, wow, I had a successful 2018. What did I end up doing? So I wrote down what I wanted to have done. I wanted to be a better speaker. I wanted to, do more marketing. I wanted to, do a certain amount of money in revenue for Jake and Gino. I wanted to have 1,000 units that we own ourselves before we syndicate. I wanted to own some vacation rentals. The list goes down and down. So I listed all those out. It seems like a lot. I got a lot of stuff listed out. But then if you start,
what about a water company?
Oh, I don't know. That just came on the radar, bro. You got to give me a little bit of time to digest that one. There goes the uncomfortable feeling again. You know what I'm saying?
I keep pushing the G-Dad this week. Damn, man.
He's killing me, So I got so many annual goals. So what do? Is I break them down into quarterly goals. So every 3 months, what does it take for me to get to 1,000 units? What do I need to do? Well, we need to continue to deal with brokers. We need to continue to look at deals. So break that down. And then from there, I do my weekly goals. So I've only got up to Tuesday today, but you can see all the other stuff that's going on here. And the other thing with the weekly planner, I like to put on my weekly planner wins, what I've won during the week. Because there's a lot of little wins we look at. We always focus on, oh man, I didn't get the deal. But the win is you pick up the phone and you call the broker. The win is I did a podcast this week with Jake. The win is I analyzed 3 deals. The win is we're getting refi done this week. There's so many wins you have during a week. I think you have to list them out and remind yourself that you accomplish a lot in a week, and it'll keep you motivated.
Gino, you got to get Russ to update that Refi and Roll sheet, man. That thing is blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
You got the money coming in, baby. At the end of my week looks a little light because I'm going to be in the Saint. Going to be in the St. Augustine visiting the G-Dad this week.
Eating some chili, bro. Can't wait.
Eating some chili and riding bikes, right? Going to the beach. That's all I want to do.
Can't wait.
No, this has been awesome. I hope folks are able to really digest this, because this is the crux of the front end of it, of buying. So what else? You got anything else today before we sign off?
I guess if anybody wants to email me with any questions, The Jake and Gino community, the private Facebook group is great. I loved having people post their successes on there. Jake and I are offering weekly live coaching calls, which has been really fantastic for us because you guys are asking me questions, and these questions, some of them are a little challenging, like calculating break even. I've got to go back and read my notes. So the more questions you ask me, the smarter I get, and the more I guess in depth. And the market's constantly changing. That's the important thing. So what's really cool about Jake and Gino for me is I'm a little selfish because I got guys pushing me and wanting me to learn more and wanting me to teach them. And at the same time, the market's evolving and we're constantly doing it. So just stay engaged, stay motivated, and make sure you figure out what your mission and purpose in life is. And I think if it's multifamily, I think there's a lot of upside multifamily for the years to come.
Guys, the weekly Q&A that we're doing with the Jake and Gino community has been awesome. So I think we keep rocking with that. Hopefully you guys are going to get on that. The guys that have not been on the weekly Q&A, Gino sending out emails, get on it. Ton of content coming out of there. Guys, because here's the thing. If you don't want to ask questions, you don't have to. But guys are asking questions. So if they're asking it, you may have the same question. So I would definitely recommend everyone getting on the weekly Q&A.
Well, Jake, what's cool about those, they can answer the question, ask the question in the private Facebook group, and I'll answer it. We record it, and then I send out the link to rewatch the whole call. And it's pretty cool because if you've got an answer, like somebody asked about calculating break even, like I said, whipped out the sheet. We had all graphs going on over there. I answer the question. They don't have to get on the call. They can watch it at their leisure, listen to it whenever they want. So that's what's cool about it.
So if you have stage fright, you don't like peeing at the urinal with guys standing next to you, email Gino on the Facebook. He'll get it to you.
That's not a good visual.
The second thing I was going to mention, if you want to be an investor, jakeandgino.com, sign up to be an investor. They'll go through the CrowdStreet portal. That's taken care of. And lastly, if you like the podcast, you want to give a good review. I think G-Dad's got a gift this week.
Yep.
What's the gift?
Gonna get a little gift. We got that deal evaluator that I've been talking about. It's in the academy for anybody who's new and wants to start learning how to analyze deals quickly. It's like a quick one-off. You look at the deal evaluator. You plug in the parameters. It's a ranking a system from 0 to 25. If it's got 25, boom, you go take a look at it even more. Down to 10 or 11, it's a pass. So it's a great way to analyze deals and to really assess the value. And it takes into consideration all three frameworks. It takes into consideration buy right, the manage right portion, and the finance right portion. And once you get into it, and once it gets into your system, it becomes part of your neurology. That's what you're looking for. You become really focused, and you really become, say, I'm really going to look at this deal from that perspective. And you're going to get rid of single family homes. You're going to get rid of flipping homes. I guarantee you're going to go all into multifamily.
Did you just say neurology?
Am
I getting like kicked off the show for not being smart enough now?
No, I don't know.
Where are you going with this, man?
Not your neurology. It becomes part of your whole being. It becomes like you just start thinking about it. That's all you
like. I don't know if I can get my head wrapped around something that big. So okay, you got the Cheap Dad's got gifts, you got products, man. What you got? So you're giving away a product, and tell very very specifically how do they get it?
Just real easy. We're just trying to grow the podcast.
No. How do they get it though? How do they get
it? Just email me at Gino@jakeandgino.com. Just take a picture of the screen grab of the review. If you want to leave a review on the podcast, do that, and then I'll just email over the deal evaluator. And there's a couple of little things I give on there. We have a couple calls that we've done on how to actually analyze deals and how to add value. So there's a couple hours of live calls that we had with our community. I think are super powerful for them.
Boom shakalaka Papa Funk. I'm out. Great call. I'll see you next time.
Ciao, bro.
See ya.
We trust that you enjoy the Wheelbarrow Profits podcast. Visit jakeandgino.com, your one-stop shop for everything multifamily. See you next time when Jake and Gino share more of their investing secrets with you.